How, if you were a building, how would you describe yourself? How do you feel? What is the building that would represent yourself best? Hi, and welcome to Lead Well. Welcome to this week's episode of the Lead Well podcast. Today, I'm taking a slightly different approach and I'm showing something to you. For those of you in the audio podcast, I will describe what I'm looking at really clearly so that you can follow along. So, no worries at all. Unless you want to see what I'm showing, then you can head over to YouTube. So, when I usually do online sessions, this is the background that my clients can see. And I often get the question, well, Christine, what are those drawings behind you? They look great. Is this artistry? And the answer is yes and no, because yes, it looks like a piece of art, but it's based on something that can be done by literally everyone, because I'm not an artist, let's be honest. And this is called neurographica. Well, most of these drawings are like when you start at the top and then you go down this side. Those are neurographica drawings, and I was drawing them for my own coaching. So those are areas that I wanted to work through. And this one here, that is a coaching session that a colleague of mine has provided to me. So this is me drawing, but based on a coaching session that I received. And I can tell you from my experience, this is so much more intense because I get asked questions that I would probably not ask myself if I was doing it on my own. And now there are other drawings here, and those are those three. And as you can see, there are some shapes of buildings on there. And this is a slightly different approach that's called neuroarchitecture, or in German, it's called neuroarchitecture because we can't call it architecture if we are not an architect. And the idea behind that is that we think about our lives in terms of architectural design. And I want to share with you today what that can mean in a real situation. Now, let me do two things. Let me switch back my background, and then I will share my screen with you because I have a drawing to share with you. Now, let me give you the background of this drawing. I was working with a leader. She was pretty new in her job, but really talented and great skills. And she was a very empathetic person, very kind, very outgoing, very hands-on as well. And she had a lot of trouble with her boss because she said she doesn't really understand him. And they have a difficulty communicating to each other because he feels so strange to her. Now, we have been talking about this once or twice in a coaching session. And then I said, okay, are you ready to take this approach? You tell me about the situation. I ask the questions and I prepare the drawing for you. Again, I'm not an artist. This will be very foundational, very rudimentary. However, let's see what this resulted in. So let me share my other camera so that you can see that. And this is now a blank sheet of paper. This is how we started. And my first question to her was, how, if you were a building, how would you describe yourself? How do you feel? What is the building that would represent yourself best? And she started talking, yeah, I would be a really tiny, small house with a straw roof, close to the seaside, sun's shining, and it has to be really colorful. So we have a red door, and we have those green little shields for the windows, lots of little windows, a tree next to it, some plants next to it. That's exactly how I feel. A tiny little house, really cozy. this is what it feels like when I imagine myself as a building. Now you can guess. The second question was, well, and your boss, what's his building like? And she said, wow, yeah, he is a very large skyscraper. Lots and lots and lots of floors, really clean and almost sterile. So it's really straight, no color, no way to actually get close to it. And a little tiny, tiny door there on the bottom. And up there, it's so big that a helicopter could land on it. Okay, so we drew this building. And now, if you can see, those two, well, they are pretty different. Now there is this tiny little house close to the beach, close to the seaside, very, very colorful, very nature oriented. And then there is this huge skyscraper, really sterile, as you described it. Now, what are the ideas to get those two together? Our first idea, or her first idea, was to install a train that is commuting between the two so that she could hop on the train, go to the station next to the large building, and she's walking out here and entering the building there. But that really didn't feel right because she's really playful. She wanted to have a different approach. Now, a second idea was, okay, then how about some sort of lift so that she could go from her place up to the building, and then there was a little balcony where they could meet. But still, it didn't feel right because it still meant that she doesn't feel right in his world. By the way, she actually described him, it's readable here in German. He is very visible from afar. He takes up a lot of space. He is very present. And he has a bit of an ego. And so this felt better. So the lift felt better already, but still it was not what she wanted to get to. And then she had the idea. She said, wow, we both love to take a walk. Now, how about we take a walk together at the beach, which is close to me, which he will like. And so we can have undivided attention for each other because we're not at his place, we're not at my place. We are in a third territory, and that is what I want my meetings with him to feel like. And the great news is that after we did this session with this drawing and she actually could reflect on it, she reported back that her next interaction with her boss was much smoother, much easier, because now she had a way to understand why they were so different and what to do to reach that connection. By taking this approach of going to a third place that was neutral for both of them so that they both could focus on each other. Isn't that wonderful? So, how about you? When you think about yourself, what is the building that represents you best? How does it look like? How big is it? How many floors do you have? How many windows? The door, how big is it? Is it open? Is it closed? What color is it? Is it in a city surrounded by others, or is it in the countryside? How many rooms are there? You could even go into the house. This is also an opportunity that we have been using quite a bit to say, okay, if I look into my house in the interior, how does that look like? And this is a wonderful tool to reflect upon yourself and also upon others, and also the communication between the two of you, or maybe even more people around you. And of course, as I said before, you can do this on your own. However, when you're doing a self-coaching session on your own, you will probably never ask the critical questions because, yeah, why should we? And so it's always great if you have someone around you. And of course, you can always reach out to me and use that approach and let me know what revelations, because I'm pretty sure it's not only a result, it can be a revelation you get out of that. So pick up a pen or let someone else pick up the pen and work with you. And I look forward to seeing your drawings or learning about your stories behind the drawings. Thank you for today and have a wonderful week. Bye for now. This was Lead Well. Now, what is the one thing that you're taking away from this episode? Please share in the comments below and do share the podcast with your friends and family, but only if you like it.